The name of this book is called Dreamers by Yui Morales. I'm going to read the back to you first. And this is the story of the author. All of us have stories, each of them different. This story began in 1994 when I crossed a bridge with my 2-month-old son Kelly from Juarez, Mexico to El Paso, Texas. And though I did not know it at the time, to a new life in a strange and unfamiliar place, the United States of America. Once here, I was surprised by the quietness of the streets, the houses neatly lined up along the roads, and later by the cold winds of San Francisco Bay in summer. I had come so that my son could meet his great-grandfather Ernie, who was very ill and not expected to live much longer, and to marry Kelly's father, a U.S. citizen. I wanted to return to Mexico soon afterward, but was shocked to learn that because of U.S. immigrants' rules and my new status as a permanent resident, I was now expected to remain in the United States. I had been an immigrant, but could I possibly call this new place my home? Like most immigrants, I missed things that felt familiar: my family, the food, my friends, my job as a swimming coach, and my ability to communicate, to understand and be understood. In this new place where I did not speak the language, it was as if no one seemed to notice I existed, as if my words and actions didn't count. In those first days, I constantly wondered if I would ever find a place where I felt valued. Then one day, Kelly's grandmother brought us to a building that would change our lives forever. We discovered the public library, and it was spectacular. I'd never been in a place where you could just take books from the shelves without asking and without being scolded for taking them. And there were picture books, something I had not encountered before. I could not believe how beautiful and sturdy they were. And then, when I opened them, I was amazed at the power of their drawings. Even though I could understand very few of the words, I realized I could understand the story through the images, a realization that would come to inspire me later on. I began bringing Kelly there almost every day, and although at first it was difficult for a little baby to stay longer than a few minutes, eventually we were able to spend entire afternoons looking at picture books, often only leaving when we were told the library was closing. We were at home. During those years, as Kelly got older, librarians at the Western Addition branch and others guided Kelly and me to find books we would love, though in an English that I struggled to understand. One day when Kelly was not yet 2 years old, Nancy Jackson, the child's librarian at the Western Addition branch, handed me his own library card. I was in awe. We could now take home a stroller brimming with books. One of the most important things I learned at the library is that through books we can find our path and our purpose. I also learned I loved to tell stories and that I could tell them through books. I studied the books I admired so much and became determined to make my own. My first efforts were very simple, made by hand and bound with ribbons and filled with my own stories and drawings. I was so proud of those books. Kelly was not a dreamer in the way the word is used today, so refer to young undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children and who have lived and gone to school here and know no other country than this one as their own. Kelly and I were dreamers in the sense that all immigrants, regardless of our status, are dreamers. We enter a new country carried by hopes and dreams and carrying our own special gifts to build a better future. Dreamers and dreamers of the world, migrantes soñadores. Now I have told you my story. What is yours? So perhaps after you read this story, you might make a book with some illustrations of your own. Dreamers. I dreamed of you, and then you appeared. Together we became resplendent life, you and I. Amor, love. One day we bundled gifts in our backpacks and crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. Adios, Mexico. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty, in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrants, you and I, the sky and the land welcomed us in words unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know, unable to understand, and afraid to speak. We made lots of mistakes. You and I became commandants. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found a place we had never seen before. Suspicious, improbable, unbelievable, surprising, unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust, and we did. Books became our language, books became our home, books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday we will become something we haven't yet imagined, but right now, we are stories, we are two languages, we are Luca, we are resilience, we are hope. We are dreamers, sonadors of the world. We are love, amor, love. I love the illustrations in that book, and I hope you will enjoy the link that is associated with it. I'd also think about maybe writing your own story with illustrations as well. Dreamers.